What's
Well,
up, everybody? It's Ryan Rexrex here on Warp Taste Podcast. As always, I have my ever comparable and awesome guest side host. I don't co-host. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Joshua Hensley with me. You may know him from the Idola Temple over on Facebook, and he does awesome stuff in Life Among Lions, and he's got another project coming out in the future. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Happy Hour. And if you don't know Happy Hour, you're missing out because this is one of the best bands going right now. Ever active. Guys, how you doing today?
Doing
doing
fantastic.
good,
Feeling good.
man.
Hell yeah. That's what's up. So we can just go down the line if you guys want to introduce yourselves, tell us what you do in the band, and we can get this interview going.
Who's first?
Eric.
Don't
Michelle.
everybody jump
Hi,
up
my
at
name's
once.
Michelle. Hi, guys. My name's Eric. I do screaming and guitar for Happy Hour.
Nice.
Nathan.
Uh, hi, my name is Nate. I do the vocals, the clean vocals mostly for Happy Hour. Yeah.
Okay. I'm David, and I do the drums. I hit the
That's
skin.
what's up. We got the whole ensemble here. That's what's
He
up,
does
guys.
more than he does more than the drums, dude. He's being
Come
modest.
on.
He's the producer now. He's our
Yeah,
producer.
he makes everything. Let's be for real.
That's what's up. Let's like dig into that. How did you go from like I just play drums to like let's get this producing and like keep it in house and make it clean?
I mean, I think it just came out of necessity, really, for me, because
Mhm.
it was just like somebody's got to do it, and I feel like that role has switched around. So at first, it was like Eric was doing most of the writing, and then it just got switched over to me, and then I have always had an affinity for doing that stuff, so it just kind of snowballed from there.
Nice. That's what's up. Now, Josh, I know you are the master of outlines, and I know you like to keep a good structure. So why don't you bring us in with that awesome outline of yours, and let's get this interview going the proper way.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, you know me, man. I like to be organized, sometimes to a fault. So, I did a little bit of research and some prep work here. So, we got some questions for the guys here at Happy Hour. We're gonna have a little bit of conversation, and we're just gonna like talk shop a little bit, if that's cool with y'all. So, just kind of opening, for anybody who's joining the show today that is not familiar with Happy Hour. Happy Hour, they formed around 2017. Want to say they started in Orlando, Florida. Currently, the lineup is Nate, Eric, David, and we're missing one today, Kevin. Kevin plays the bass.
That
Uh, let's see, you guys have dropped plenty of singles and EPs. You've had, features on your album like Andres, and you've featured on his as well. Um, I mean, we've got an evolving sound over the years. I mean, incredible stuff you guys have put out. Um, and you guys currently are not all together in one location, right? You're spread out between different states, right? So, working together mostly remotely. I'm sure that there's moments that you guys come together and do shows at some point, but for the most part, right now, it's we're looking at pretty much an online project where everybody's collaborating from a distance, which is pretty cool. It says a lot about like how far we've come with music and technology and like what a beautiful thing that we get to experience by just having, everybody in separate places, yet you can still come together and make great music, right? So, that being said, we've got the formalities out of the way. We want to take a look at like how it all started for you guys, right? Like your origins, okay? Tell me about like, where the name came from. Tell me about how you guys all know each other, where you met.
I'll open it up. So we actually formed at the very end of 2016, and it started where I had decided to leave the band I was previously in called Dead Cinema. Me and the guitar player, Teddy, decided to just branch off. We had played some shows with other bands similar in the genre to us, which is how we met Nate and David because they played in a different band called Stay for Tonight. So we played a couple shows together. We knew of each other. And as I was starting this project up, something new, I think I did like a Facebook post or something like that, looking for a vocalist. And Nate had messaged me like, yo, and it's kind of funny, like, the first time we hung out, he came over. It was election night of 2016. So that was kind of like an interesting tone for the backdrop of it all. Like we're all like, yeah, yeah, we already know what's gonna happen. And then the next morning we wake up like, oh fuck. I can't believe this guy fucking won. What the fuck? I think all of us, name wise, the name just kind of came as like a filler that we ended up just sticking to. We'd often have band practice, and craft beer was like, a thing that a lot of us were into, like bringing different things to the practice. And it was like, oh, we'll just like, we don't know what the name is. Like, let's call it Happy Hour in the meantime. Like, haha, but we'll come up with a serious name. And then after a while, we never came up with a serious name, and here we are.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, I remember at one point, I think we were going between names, and the other name was House Fires or
Oh
something like
my!
that. It was like something so stupid. We were like, House Fires? Like, really?
That
Um,
was my suggestion.
yeah, but then we ended up with Happy Hour. But yeah, it was pretty cool the way I think we all kind of linked up because David was drumming for the old band I was in. We were both Eric and I were both in bands that were had female fronts, and we weren't actually vocalists. Like, I mean, I did like background vocals and secondary vocals and that, and I played guitar, which I thought was cool. So like, like when Eric posted on Facebook, I was like, oh, no brainer. Like, he was like starting a Dance Gavin Dance esque project, and I was like, bet, let's do it. Like, so I remember I went over his house, and like he had me like audition to be in the band, even though he knew that I could sing. So we were just like jamming some like, Downtown Battle Mountain 1 or some shit like that, right? Like, and we were just like, I don't know, I was just singing through it. And then that night we started to write White Girl Drinks because, it was election night, and we were like, let's do something, let's just like comment on, what's going on, politically, and make it a satire. And literally that's how our first song like kind of came to be. Um and so I feel like from that point forward, then we asked David to become a part of it because I was obviously still in a band with him, and I was like, yo, we need a drummer for this project. And he, was super happy to hop in, and yeah, the rest is kind of history, man. It always kind of came together very organically, and I think what helped it a lot is that at least for the three of us, that have been the core of this for since the beginning, I think we all have the same, or more or less the same sense of humor. I think, which kind of gives us that camaraderie that kind of just like gaslit everything from the jump. So
I love that, man. That's a lot of good info. I remember hearing White Girl Drinks, when you guys pretty much first dropped it. Maybe I might have stumbled on it about a month late, but OG fan right here. Found it in one of those I want to say it was a Dance Gavin Dance fan group.
Mhm.
Uh,
Sounds
so
about
yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, those groups I always find, good music recommendations, even though that might not necessarily be like the core of what I'm listening to these days. You know, um, I know that you guys have kind of like evolved your sound and gotten away from that specific sound. As a matter of fact, I posted in the Idola fan group today, see if anybody had some questions for you guys, and somebody jumped out and said they love mental health and they want to know if you guys are going to write anything like that coming up in the future.
I say it's not off the table. I mean, we have like another heavy song that we never put out that's just kind of sitting in the backlog. Um, it just kind of depends what we're feeling and moving to. And I remember mental health was kind of like a, hey, we want to put something out. And this was at a time where Nate had a gig on a cruise ship, so he was gone for 6 months. So it's like for 6 months, like There's nothing he could do. He's on a boat.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a great
Um,
Eric band.
Um, no, yeah, I think we had already recorded Note to Self, and that was released while I was doing that contract. But yeah, it was basically like we were just kind of like trying to keep the traction kind of going with that, and Eric was kind of spearheading um that release at the time, and I was just like, fuck yeah, dude. I mean, I love the song. I thought it was cool that we kind of just like jumped from, you know, genre to genre. Like I don't think we've ever really cared about what that meant for us. At least, back then. I think obviously now we're kind of shaping things a little more. But yeah, I think, when we released that song, I was just like, fuck yeah, dude, it was like Eric's kind of like brainchild, and it was super cool. Like I love the fact that we were diving into something like that. Um and obviously, yeah, I was on a ship, so I was like, go for it, guys.
That's one of my favorite things about you guys. You know, you explore all these different genres. You have never really felt very restrictive when it comes to, the styles of music that you guys put together. I mean, and anybody would know that right off the bat if they listen to probably 80 to 90% of the stuff that you guys have already put out. I mean, literally almost every song kind of has at least one or two sections that transfers into a completely different genre from when it started, which
Right.
for me, being based in like post-hardcore and progressive post-hardcore, that's the kind of stuff that I live for, you know? That's the stuff that makes the songs really, really interesting. I noticed that you guys said that you had some other bands before Happy Hour, and I want to say that I heard Stay for the Night before, actually. I believe I remember hearing them once upon a time. Is there any other bands that you guys were in, and can we still find that music online?
Yeah, so I used to be my first band was like almost like a Lamb of God, like In Flames kind of style band before I even met these guys. And I think we still have the album still out. It's like if y'all want to ever check it out, it was called I Died a Hero. But yeah, then I jumped from literally doing that to doing like the Stay for the Night stuff, which was like female fronted, like pop rock almost kind of vibe. So very, very drastic change from one to another. But yeah, you can definitely still find that out there.
I
Yeah.
had a question. So, Nate, when you're on this boat, what were you singing? Like, are you singing like cruise ship like jingles, or you cover nights, or were you like bringing post-hardcore to the waves, man?
Dude, so I was on Celebrity, the cruise line, and they have Celebrity does like they're a part of Royal Caribbean, but they're not, because Royal Caribbean has rights to actual musicals, but Celebrity does not. So like Celebrity would like they would write their own shows, which are pretty cool, honestly. But some of them are better than others. But for my ship specifically, I was a part of the theater cast, so like the production theater would put on 3 shows per cruise, and each show was different. Like it was cool. Like it was just like kind of like song cycles that kind of surrounded like more or less of a story,
Yeah.
um because they kind of just wrote their own 45-minute kind of song cycle thing.
Wow.
So it was mostly pop stuff, like your go-to songs that people kind of know.
Yeah.
um but then there was one show that I really liked. It was called Rocky. It was Rockumentary.
Hmm.
And that was basically just like it was like, because like my ship had like LED, like this huge like $2 million LED screen like behind the stage that just projected anything you wanted. And
Nice.
basically Rockumentary was like just going through like the decades of rock music.
That's what's up.
So I got to do that at least, which was it's a little more in my wheelhouse, obviously, in terms of vocals.
Yeah.
um so like I was able to sing, hits, like classic hits like the Stones, and I got to do help from my friends. I got to do some like you just like classic rock stuff. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I had a great time doing it, but it was it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, imagine that's like a very taxing thing. You're away on the seas for like like 6 months at a time, I think was what they said, and you're away from your family, you're away from land, and you're just trapped on a boat singing the hits, and you seeing all these people. I mean, I think that that gives you some kind of like theatrical background because I mean, like when you're screaming about, when you're singing about getting taken off of MySpace top eight, you really feel it. Like that's probably like my favorite song right there. That's just you can feel the emotion, the screams going on. It's just there's so much turmoil. And I remember that MySpace top eight, they were definitely full of turmoil.
Yeah. I remember when we wrote that. I mean, that was like our return to satire, I think, for us. Like because we were like kind of tired of writing really depressing emo lyrics, and we were like, dude, let's make something funny again. But yeah, like what I really enjoy about, because I mean, I do theater. I do musical theater for a living. And so, being able to bring that into the at least the songwriting and the lyrical content and a lot of the stuff that we do as a band has been really cool. And David and I connect with this a lot because every time we're tracking vocals and stuff, I'm always like more harmonies, more fucking layers, and Eric gets a little tired of it when we're when we're on the clock and we're paying for it. But but yeah, I love to bring in that element of like the BGVs and layering as many things and like making it like sound like a whole fucking choir, even
Yeah.
though half the time it gets buried in the mix anyway. But it's
Ah, no, you can feel it though. It brings it, man. Because I think that's like the thing that a lot of successful bands, and I would consider y'all successful because y'all don't, you're sitting at like 55,000 monthly listeners right now on Spotify, and it's not like you're not playing no game. It's no algorithm. It's no bullshit bots. It's like literally your music. The most successful bands, from My Chemical Romance to Coheed and Cambria, there's that theatrical element. And I think that's what sets you apart from a lot of your peers in this genre is that you guys bring your A game, and it's like it allows for like a certain level of drama and like larger than life grandiose like delivery. And I think that's that's one of my favorite things about y'all because you can go from super sad somber emo boy music to I'm very pissed off that I got taken off MySpace top eight to just like like mental health where it's just like you guys can deliver so much variety and like you're able to tap into that theatrical element where you can make it mean something to you. It's not like you're just doing it paint by numbers. Like, yeah, we put a breakdown and then we do some chugs. Yeah, we did it. We did it. Like it's totally heavy, bro. We did it. Like
Not the
I feel
former.
like you guys tap into that. So where it's like it means something.
I think for us, it's just like flavor of the month is really what it is. Like, I think I think one of the things that defines us is I think we just like to go to the what if we did this? Like, just I don't know, like the what if is something that we're just like, yeah, fuck it, let's try it. I don't know, why not?
yeah.
No, I love that, man. You guys always explore unique territory, and it's cool that actually Ryan mentioned that theatrical element to your music. I do find a lot of the stuff that I listen to, or a lot of the stuff that I gravitate towards the most, does have that theatrical element to it. I mean, even you want to talk about stuff from back before I was born that I listened to, things like Queen, for example. Queen had a very, very theatrical element to them. And just that was honestly probably one of my favorite things about them. It wasn't the fact that they were all so super talented musicians or, Freddie Mercury was this phenomenal singer. It was that they brought in these cool ideas and these elements to their music that, not a whole lot of people were doing at the time. So it's neat to see you guys kind of tap into something like that. I believe Nate has some theatrical background, if I'm correct.
Yes. I've been doing theater since high school. And I actually went to college for musical theater. I have a degree. a bachelor's degree in musical theater, and I've been doing it professionally for the past 6 years. Hence why now I'm here in New York. So
Broadway, man. You're going to Broadway.
Love it.
that's the goal.
I know that,
I think you could do it, bro. I believe in you.
Thanks, man.
I know that you guys have like switched stuff up quite a bit with not only like your genre and obviously where you're living now, but your lineup has changed a little bit over the years. I know right now we have like basically the three original members, but you guys have had another guitarist at one point, maybe more than one. I know your bassist has kind of cycled through a couple different bassists. You know, how is that? Changed over time, and how'd you guys come to those decisions? Are you all still cool with everybody that's been in the band, or were there tough breakups or anything like that?
I don't
Um,
think there was any tough
yeah,
breakups, but I'll let you take it, David.
yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say, like, the cycling. I think the core has always been the three of us here, and I think it's always been just straight up out of necessity. Like I said prior, like, we have these songs that require at that time two guitar players because they're two distinct guitar parts. So we need a second guitarist, and we need a bassist that can play the kind of stuff that was written in the original like EP. So I think just like, we were just kind of doing it as we needed to do it. But as far as like relationship wise and still being cool with everybody, like there was never any bad blood between anybody. We've always kept it professional. We always were straight up with people. Like, if things don't work out, they don't work out. And it's not personal. It's just because we have a goal and we want to accomplish it as best as we can.
Well
Yeah.
put.
Yeah, yeah, like David said, we never had any bad blood. Like we're still friends with everybody that was a part of this project. We're happy that, everybody contributed to the project in their own way. Um, and like, like it's kind of the same thing that I said before. It's like, the people that came in and out of the band, like, we got along with, like, everybody had the same sense of humor, like we were all good friends. But yeah, it's strictly, based off of, what we needed at the time, and the way things go with people's lives and stuff, but yeah, it was never any bad blood. And yeah, shout out to all the boys that were a part of our lives, for this project and stuff like that. We're all still good friends and hope they're doing well.
Yeah, man. I think also too, like every time that we have had a switch up in lineup, it's always indicative of the era that we're in at the time too, like the kind of music that we were putting out at the time. Like when we had the two guitar player deal, it was like very guitar oriented music, very like technical stuff. So like, we needed that. And then moving into just having one guitar player. And then I think that was when Eric and Nate were just doing co-vocalists, and it was just like Eric was not playing guitar on stage. So then the songs became more songs, and just instead of like playing a lot of notes all the time, it was more like strong chorus melodies and all that stuff. So I think as the eras have progressed, the lineups have changed along with them too.
That makes sense, man. I like the way that things have changed. Again, you guys are constantly going through this like genre blending situation, and I think, with the members that you've had kind of come in and out, I mean, you can see it. That makes a lot of sense the way that you put it when there's, you got two guitarists in the band. It's, some of the songs are more guitar driven. And then you flip that script, and now the focus is on the vocals. Um, it's kind of brings me like around to a thought where like, I've always wondered like what your creative process was. I mean, you guys are blending genres like alternative and indie and experimental, progressive, metalcore, post-hardcore, and like the list goes on. It's not just exclusive to rock. I mean, you've got like R&B in there, and I think at one point I heard like some reggae elements or some samba going on at one point. It
Oh
was
yeah.
pretty cool. But how did you guys like start, like writing that way? Like, was there like a core songwriter, or was it a collaborative effort the entire time?
I think it's moved around. Like it's gone from like being very siloed to collaborative and everything in between. Like originally I was writing most of the songs for What's Your Poison, and this is like stone age for me. I'm just sending guitar profiles basically back and forth to
That's
everyone.
it.
So they're just listening to these like 8-bit and it's just like, yeah, dude, that's
Yeah,
gonna sound
learn
really
that.
good. You gotta learn this, right? And it would be like, hey, here's my part, like, what do you think? And somebody would come, Nate would come up with his own ideas. And as it moved through, we started to get better, or David started to get a lot better with production. And I think by the time we got to doing Night Vibes, maybe we're doing some kind of like DIY demos at home. Definitely getting into 26, I know that was the case. And it just depends. Like there's never been like we've never had a moment where we all sat in a rehearsal room and just said, let's write a song. Like
We've
it
never
actually,
jammed like that.
yeah, that actually blows my mind. I know a lot of people have a creative process like that, and I feel like it's like you can't put like four people with ADHD in a room together and be productive. It's
I
just
think
like
we tried to do it. We have tried, and it's like every time we're just like cracking up at each other, like making
Yeah.
dumb faces, or like we just start
uh,
talking crap, and nothing ever gets done, and So
yeah, like
it's
it's like
really,
usually we're pretty like, I think the way that we work best is somebody has a core idea and we bounce it over for somebody else to grab the baton and say, whoa, okay, I can already see where this is going. Like, let me take the wheel from here. Like Love Hurts EP, Cigarettes, I feel was something, vocals, I drove a lot of it. David wrote the entire instrumental. Already Dead, I didn't do anything. Nate like wrote the whole song. And then Love Hurts felt like one that we, as vocalists kind of like collaborated on together. And it just varies. Like, we talked about Note to Self and Mental Health, two opposite of the spectrum songs. I took Mental Health, Nate did Note to Self. And a lot of the times it's like, if somebody has a core idea, puts it on the table, and we're all like, oh yeah, that looks good. That looks good. So we just gotta like we just gotta like roll with it from there. And I mean, sometimes it's tough because we'll have a lot of stuff on the plate and it's like, okay, but like what do we want to actually package together? Like we've been going through that dilemma for some new music, and I feel like we've got a bunch of stuff in the catalog that we can pull and put on it. And even that process was tough to just say like, okay, well, what do we feel right now is like a good, like well-rounded version of who we are at the moment.
yeah. And I think too,
Yeah.
um, to add on, it's for me at least, as far as creative process, I think when I started writing more for the band, it became like, okay, I have two guys who to me are the best at what they do in what we do currently. Like, how do I play to their strengths? Like when we did Already Dead, I made that demo when we run our first tour in a hotel room, just random on GarageBand. And I wanted it to feel like a very R&B centric thing because I know Nate's like that's his bag. Like his voice lends to that very well. So, I was like, let's explore that. Like, let's push that boundary and like let's not get stuck in just what we already know. And then in terms of like mental health, Eric's one of the best screamers I know, and like he's really good at writing aggressive music, and I'm not. Like realistically, I'm more like the balladier stuff, and his bag is really like the aggression and the energy and stuff. And so being able to push those boundaries and get comfortable with each other like that has definitely been part of our process.
That's what's up. So like
Yeah. And
when you're writing these songs, like because lyrics are a big part, and I feel like you guys are very like creative in the sense of lyrics. Like it's never a dull moment when you're listening to a happy hour song. Like what's the process like when you're coming up? Like are you just like trying to find things that fit into a cadence when you're singing, or do you have like a notebook full of lyrics that you're pulling from, or what's that like?
I would say a lot of the stuff that we've written, like it vocally and lyrically, a lot of it has been collaborative with Eric and I. I think at least for the first EP, when we did What's Your Poison, obviously White Girl Drinks was definitely collaborative. We were basically just coming up with one-liners that were, funny. And we just kind of threw them all in. But but like the other stuff on What's Your Poison, since Eric was doing a lot of the writing in terms of the instrumental, the guitars, like he would send the guitar pros over, and I'd literally just be like writing stuff in my head to like the MIDI sounding doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And like I would just be like, I
God
think
bless
I
you.
think this melody would sound good. Let's just see where it goes. And then when I would finally hear the guitar in real life, I'd be like, oh, okay, good, it works. Like, you know what I mean? But I think in terms of lyrics, at least for the first EP, there was a little bit of collaborative stuff between Eric and I, but like most of the core vocals, like I would write and then I would be like, hey, I wrote this section. Like I would love if you like threw like a scream section in this part, and like this is kind of what the lyrical content is about. Like, let's like kind of work around it together. And that was kind of like the collaborative in the first EP. When it came to like the newer stuff, like when it came to, the Love Hurts EP, like Eric threw down most of like the vocals for Cigarettes. We collabed on like the Love Hurts stuff, but like it was basically just like Eric would, either one of us, if we had an idea for like the song lyrically or whatever, we would just introduce the concept, we would introduce the theme, we would say like, okay, like this is kind of like the arc of what this story is gonna be. And then we kind of just collaborate on what that is. And thankfully, I think Eric and I have both been, have a lot of trauma equally. So I think it was easy to relate to a lot of things that we would kind of write about. So every time like Eric would introduce a concept and be like, okay, this is about this, I'd be like, bet I know exactly what that feels like, let's go, like let's write it. So it's been cool. And what's also what I will also say about the newer stuff is that David was like, he plays a huge part in the way that it comes together structurally. Because I feel like a lot of the times like Eric and I would write like vocal melodies of like lyrics, and then we would have it like set in this way, and then we'd be like, this is how the song's gonna go vocally, and then David would literally be like, no. You're gonna do it like
Right?
this.
Sometimes it would literally just be like, I'm gonna shift this one beat over, and we're like,
No,
whoa,
yeah,
whoa, holy shit.
It's the
It's like,
drummer's
and it
perspective, man.
completely changes it. Like, it's crazy. Which,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna grab my charger so that my iPad doesn't die, but y'all proceed.
All right, you don't mind if we
man.
follow you there, do you?
Dude, it's following you.
Oh my god.
Oh no. The iPad's just like floating over to me.
Just rub some legs
Oh.
and starts following him around the house. Like, where you going, dude? We're on a call.
Crazy that it does it. It's kind of freaky.
It is freaky.
Right?
Oh,
Imagine
man.
when you're not using it and they're watching you. They're
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
dude.
I was gonna say,
What's this
I
guy
don't
doing?
think
I'm
I don't
putting
think
tape over this thing for
Are
sure.
even going to get a chance to see that because like he wasn't talking, so like how Zoom works where it like
Yeah.
locks in on whoever's talking, so they're not going to get to see what just happened, so unfortunate for them.
Josh, give us a demonstration what happens every time you move.
Oh, okay, well here's what's going on. So it kind of follows you. Can you see me? I'm laughing, Ryan. You're not gonna be able
How
to see it.
fast does it track you? Like a quick dude.
Oh man. Yeah, so this is kind of what I mean. It tracks you a little bit like that. And anyway, um back on subject. So I know that so the other day I was actually talking with a friend from work, and I was telling them that I was going to be conducting this interview, and they had never heard of you guys. And I found myself like kind of like going on and on through like multiple genres and not really like able to nail something down. And finally I just like whipped my phone out and was like, here's what they sound like, right? And then I realized like after I played a song, I'm like, okay, well they also sound like this, and I had to play them like another song. So like it was pretty funny like trying to explain the band to them when they had never heard you guys. When somebody asks you, personally, obviously it comes up in conversation for you, I'm sure at some point, hey, I'm in a band. Hey, what do you guys sound like? How would you describe the band?
That's tough. I think we have the same battle. Like I've had the same like that question, and I usually just say alternative to just make it simple. I just say, yeah, we write alternative music. There's some singing, some screaming, right? And then it's just like if you care enough to go from there, you'll find out. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's always just been tough. Like if I think of someone asking, like if you've never heard of Gorillaz, which not a fair comparison. I mean, I'd say they're on a completely different tier, right? But if you listen to Gorillaz and you listen to like a newer album, they've got like 70 features on every single song. It's like you don't even know how to describe Gorillaz to somebody, and you have to almost like, oh, okay, dude, you actually got to go all the way back to the beginning. You got to listen to like the first two albums mainly to get like a starting point, and then it'll make sense to you more as you go from there. Like Blood Orange is like that. He brings in a lot of people, and
Right.
not that we do that, but it's like, his sound moves around, so it's hard to give like a one answer of like, yeah, it's rock, it's metalcore, it's this one thing. That's tough.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would say for me, it's like it like I have to like code switch. So like it depends on who's asking, you know what I mean? Like so like for me it's like, if it's just like if it's like my theater people, right? Like that don't listen to rock music or like they dabble in rock music, like they're like, "Oh yeah, I love Paramore." It's like I I would kind of just be like, you know, I make this and then like I hate saying it because I know it's not really what we sound like at all, but like what I tell people that don't really know like hardcore music or anything that is within our realm, or like they don't know the verbiage or whatever, like I literally just tell people, I'm like, imagine like Linkin Park meets System of a Down meets My Chemical Romance. Like I just kind of like name those three things where people are like, oh, and I'm like,
That's yeah.
Really?
yeah. Like sure.
Unfortunately, it's just because those are the most popular bands in the act that it's just like you're kind of like alluding, like, yeah, it's heavy, there's some screaming, and then it's dramatic a little bit. It's just like it's hard to relate because, like you said, code switching. Because some people above 40, they're like, "What do you sound? You sound like Pantera? Like, what are you trying to tell me?" Like,
Yeah, I've definitely used the Linkin Park one before. I'm like, man, this is gonna be too long of a thing. I'm just like Linkin
I
Park,
think
and they're like, oh, that's
I
good.
think that would work. You could just be like, it's like Linkin Park meets Gorillaz meets Weird Al Yankovic, where it can always change.
Actually, love that. I love Weird Al. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, Nate, that was a great description. I think if anybody that I was talking to, wasn't really necessarily nestled in the genre of music that we listen to or that you guys make, that's a good description because you've kind of covered a lot of basis in the rock world. I mean, with Linkin Park, you got like this rapping element, hip hop, and mixed with screams, and then My Chem that's got the emo element and almost punk rock to them. So no, great description. You guys have to have like some influences, right, that are like on the grand spectrum like that. Like, what are some of your more well-known influences? And then tell me about like some of the influences that you have that a lot of people might not know.
Vito.
I gotta go first. Okay. I think well, between the three of us, I think the main one that I think kind of glued us together was our love for the Contortionist. That
Great.
was a band that
Yeah.
at the time of our writing together or the inception of this band, we were rocking that hard. Like, and there's a song specifically where I think we channeled them a bit, not by like sound, just by like feel, like we want to feel like we're in the Contortionist in that moment. It's like the Sorry I Only Drink Guinness song on the last song on the first EP. To me, I always like, I have to put myself in that headspace of like, okay, this is the Contortionist song. But I don't know. Like it just really depends for me. Like at the time, if you ask me now, there's more local bands that I listen to rather than like mainstream bands that influence kind of like where I want to go or like what influenced me to write. Cause I want to keep my ear to the ground with like local music all the time because I feel like that's where the most interesting stuff happens. People are just trying stuff, they're just like throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. And I love that process. That's kind of like how I work. Um, Maybe well known. I don't know. Opeth's a big one for me as far as like the progressive metal stuff. You mentioned Ryan, you mentioned Pantera. I love Pantera. Um, if we're talking like more mainstream stuff, like I don't know, Avenged Sevenfold's cool.
Okay, Nate and Eric are losing their minds over here. What's going on?
They're texting each other like, "Yo, this guy's."
No,
No,
no.
it's just that do we have this thing like the Opeth thing? There's like this song called The Lotus Heater that starts off like with this, and I don't know why that's always just been like a joke. Like either anyone will do it and we just laugh. And at my wedding, I had the violin player learn that melody for like
For our big
'cause
group
I was-
photo.
yeah, I was like, dude, I can't believe this violin player's $500 for 1 hour. She was amazing, but I was like, I want to get my money's worth. I was like, can you learn this funny thing for me?
It
And
was
she did,
awesome.
and
It was the
it
best.
was
It was the
awesome.
best moment.
She was just looping it like,
Yeah.
like 30. Just looping it for like 30 seconds straight while we were taking photos. It was super funny.
It's your first
Sorry.
dance. That on a loop. Just
Right?
Little waltz.
Dude, yeah, sorry. No, no, because David said, oh, Beth. Literally, I just went, Eric and I just started laughing. I'm sorry. Um, Eric, I don't know if you want to go next.
Yeah, influences. All over the place. I feel like I'm a very big flavor of the month or year person, like with artists. Definitely for the past couple years, really been into Death Heaven, the new album they put out last year, honestly, and understandably so, deserves that top 10 metal records of the year award. I've seen they receive from lots of different outlets. I like a little bit of prog, like death metal, black metal, hardcore. So I don't know, it just goes all over the place. Indie too. I mean, like Men I Trust, Japanese Breakfast, um, anything. I mean, honestly, sometimes I'll just start adding a bunch of shit from TikTok, like whatever's like the TikTok song, and I'm like, oh, dark fantasy of like the medieval castle. I'm like, yeah, this is good.
Fucking, you gotta do the fucking.
I did put that on my playlist. It's on
Dude,
there.
it's so good.
It's a good song. It's a good song. I'm looking at my like on repeat on Spotify, and there's like a bunch of just like TikTok songs. What is this one? This children one. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I don't know. You probably can't hear it, but
Robert Miles.
it's Robert Miles' Children. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a slow reverb version going around right now. I love it. I was just like, hell yeah, dude. That's an old school song from like the 90s, but
It
they're
is,
bringing
yeah.
it back, and I love the TikTok kids. They bring back the good shit.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'll find all sorts of random good shit on TikTok, and honestly, it's all over the place for me. Like I can be obsessed with one band for a year and then it moves on, and I feel like maybe it adds a little flavor to what I'm trying to write at the time, but not a whole lot. Like I feel like what's interesting is we listen to a lot of music that we're not necessarily trying to create. Um, like I'm not actively trying to make like a death metal band or make a black metal band or make something that's just like straight like, OG hardcore like Tsunami or Trapped Under Ice, but I love listening to those type of bands. Um I don't know. And then similarly when people are like, "Oh, you guys kind of remind me of this, remind me of that," or I don't feel like I don't listen to like Dayseeker or like a lot of stuff, I guess like maybe in our Venn diagram, but I know we kind of share space in terms of the sound there. So I feel like we like to write music that we're not necessarily listening to.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up because it's funny. A lot of the times I won't listen to music kind of within our genre often, and like when people like a lot of the times the music like, when it does come up, it's because like um it'll show up as like a related artist or something, and then it'll just start playing. And like that's how I found out like that's how I started listening to Dayseeker actually, what Eric brought it up. Because people are always like would always say like, oh, like you guys give like Dayseeker vibes, like you sound like Rory or whatever. And I'm like, really? Like who is this? And like I listen to them and they're great. Like I mean, I love their music. It's cool. And Rory is like an insane vocalist. So it was an honor to, be told, for people to be like, yo, like you and Rory sounded like I'm like, that motherfucker is insane. Like I like it's an honor. But yeah, it's interesting how we don't like we don't necessarily listen to the stuff like obviously in the beginning when we were starting the project, I feel like, we were still very heavy into the post-hardcore stuff. Like Eric and I were obviously still listening to Dance Gavin Dance a lot. and like things around that kind of swancore genre. Like I was listening to Coheed a lot, like the OG albums, and like stuff around that scene, like I the Mighty. I know Eric and I were listening to I the Mighty a lot, and but that was like kind of in the beginning. At least for like the new stuff, because I think with What's Your Poison, we were going for something, like we were going for that swan core sound, and like it was like specific. So I think we were kind of like diving. I'm sorry. Some lady, it had some ladies reaching fully out the window on a FaceTime and showing somebody the snow. Like, anyway, sorry. Uh, um, but I think over time, once we kind of got away from like trying to be swan core, or quote unquote, like um I think the influences, yeah, like what Eric was saying and David was saying, it's just like the music that we listen to doesn't really, it isn't like what we're trying to write. For me, like my influences, I think at least for Eric and I, like one of our biggest influences, collectively between the two of us, is obviously My Chemical Romance. I think that's like a huge one for the both of us. Um, but aside from that, like me personally, like I don't know, it is also like Eric was saying, flavor of the month. It's kind of just what I'm listening to at the time. Like right now, I'm on a huge Kalani click. Like I'm like fucking nothing but R&B right now. Um, but then at the same time, I've been listening to a lot of classical stuff. Like I've been listening to a lot of Nina Simone. I've been listening to a lot of like, weirdly enough, I've been listening to like Sam Cooke. Um, and I don't know, like it's just like there's a lot of and especially because I have like a theater background and things like that. It's like I've never really stuck to one genre. Like when people ask me, obviously, yes, like I listen to a lot more rock music and a lot more heavy stuff than I would otherwise. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of comes down to like what we're vibing at the time.
Right.
Like when we wrote like some of the singles, like Black in Every Color and Holding On, like that time, like I was really listening to a lot of Bring Me the Horizon's new stuff.
Right.
So that kind of had an influence on like where we were at. But like it really just depends on what's coming out, what's going on. Like I just listened to the new Harry Styles song like fucking 18 times. Like you know what I mean? Like I think that shit is dope.
Right.
Um,
I'm a big
but
pop myself, to be honest with you. So like, like
yeah.
as far as like, post-hardcore and stuff goes, like that's probably my preferred genre, but I listen to so many different styles of music, especially when it comes to pop. And
Yeah.
actually you catch a lot of grief from some of the people in the community, in the genre community, because I listen to so much pop. They're like, "Oh, yeah, that's what you're listening to," I'm like,
You
"Well,
fantasy.
I got no shame. So like I love that stuff. Those people, they make great music. They put together these beautiful arrangements, and a lot of those like synthetic elements that people are supposed just using a computer to make as opposed to like actual instruments. I mean, there is so much talent that goes into that stuff, and I'm sure David can attest to this as like a production guy.
Yeah,
And just
100%. I think listening, it's important to listen to popular music when you're a musician or a producer, especially, or a songwriter, because that is what is hitting out there. And maybe you don't want to necessarily make like the song of the summer or whatever, like, but you want to still understand what it is to write a good song, and what that entails. Like it's the melody, it's the song, it's the chord progression, it's how the melody plays against it. And you can dress up the same chord progression a million different ways, and I think pop music especially has a special way of being able to include so many different elements all at the same time,
Yeah.
uh, and it's all cohesive, where it doesn't sound like noise. It's all pleasant to listen to.
I think another thing that's important that, if you're a musician and you don't listen to pop music, and like if you're making music to connect with people.
Yeah.
And pop music in its entirety, it is, like popcorn. It's to be consumed by many. And it's like if you don't make if you don't want to, you want to make music and you want to connect with people, you want to find an audience, you want people to listen to your music. Like pop music is designed to be listened to by a lot of people. And Nate mentioned Sam Cooke, and I jumped on the Sam Cooke bandwagon because I've been watching Fallout and they put Sam Cooke on there. I love Sam Cooke. Chain Gang, man, that song goes hard as fuck. And shout out Fallout. I love that show too. But connecting with pop music, like that's an important thing. I mean, some of the greatest music ever was, people try to say that pop isn't like important. It is. Michael Jackson's important, man. Thriller, like 11 or 12 out of 13 tracks were singles. Like that doesn't happen nowadays, you know?
Same, dude.
Yeah. And like David and I, obviously, like we're huge Michael Jackson fan. Like like we grew up with that shit. You know what I mean? Like I would come home from school and literally I had the fucking DVD and I would literally like of all of his music videos and shit. And I'd literally sit in front of the TV. I'd literally just go through the whole catalog of his
Right.
music like on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Like it's like I think if you're a fan of music in general, like you should never say no to listening to anything. You know what I mean? And like if you listen
Yeah.
to it and you don't like it, then you don't like it. But like as a musician, as an artist, it's like we're all trying to reach the same goal. You know what I mean? Like we're always just trying to connect and we're always trying to create. And I think
Yeah.
that's just the importance of it. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing, but don't knock it. And you know what I mean? And don't
Yeah.
knock other people, don't yuck other people's fucking yum. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because then that's not
Real
that's not
expression.
being a musician,
Yeah.
It's
Bro,
A real
don't
Love
expression.
don't
love
yuck my
that.
yum, bro.
Don't
don't
yuck
yuck
the
my
Yucking my
yum.
yum, dude.
My yum's all yucked up thanks to you, man. Don't be doing
Yeah,
that.
dude, don't be doing that shit.
I love that.
I
It
think
sounds like you were probably influenced a lot by Michael Jackson when you were younger. And this may be a tough ask, but can you give me your best MJ impression?
God.
No. I could try to I can moonwalk,
Oh, okay.
but we're not gonna do that right now. My
I
phone
figured
my
it was
phone doesn't have the it doesn't follow me as I'm moonwalking
right.
across the room.
uh, I was looking for more vocal, but I figured it was a long shot anyway, so no worries. No worries.
It could be worse. He could have asked you to try to explain the plot to Moonwalker, you know?
Yeah, no,
To those who've
that's
never seen Moonwalker, there is no plot. It's just a bunch of random shit put together, but Michael Jackson dances throughout the whole thing. It works. It just works.
Really?
So, we've been talking about music this whole time, obviously, and your influences, because, it's the music that we're here for, but like art, itself, it spans so many different mediums. What like non-musical artists have influenced you or helped shape your thought process?
Maybe not artist for me, but there's an author that his name is Robert Greene that I've read a couple of his books, and it just talks very much about like taking agency and being very like upfront about things, and just like the art of um being in a position of power but using it to an ability where you're not being malicious with it, but like understanding your power and being able to delegate that and distribute it amongst like your peers. I think being able to understand that has helped me a lot. And it does influence me a bit in terms of like my approach to the creative process too, like making music and stuff. And obviously being in a band and, navigating different personalities, I think has helped me a lot, especially in this band too. But yeah, I would say Robert Greene for sure.
Derek.
My turn. I'll be honest. I don't draw too much from non-musical artists. I draw more influence of just like what's happening around me in terms of like current events, like whether it's like social or political. I would say those things have an influence on me in terms of making music. I can appreciate art. I do love a lot of art, visual art, but it's nothing specifically I would say that I draw from.
um yeah, I think in a similar way, I think a lot of what fuels the process for me creatively comes from, like I said, like theater, the background in terms of creating theater and like acting technique. Like, I studied a lot of Uta Hagen. I studied a lot of Stanislavski, and kind of like whenever it comes down to the roots of a creative process, you kind of like I kind of remind myself about, Uta Hagen is like all about objective. It's all about what is the objective? Like, how are you going about your objective? Like, what are these circumstances that you're living in, and how is it that you get from one end to the other? And what, spectrum of I guess, to put it plainly, like, acting, like where are you going to go? How far are you going to go? Like, what is the goal and what is the objective? So like, I think a lot of the time when it comes to writing and it comes to being creative, like that kind of loops in my head a lot. Like, what's the goal? Like, what is the ultimate, like, what message are you trying to, get across? And I think that's kind of what has fueled a lot of at least when I feel stuck, or I feel like I'm like, okay, like I want to sit down and write something, or whatever. And God knows I've had like writer's block for the past like 3 fucking years, but it's just like that consistent trying to just sit down and be like, okay, like, what is the goal? And then I think that then it comes to what's similar to Eric, where it's like, what is the climate around me? Like, what is the current event like situation? What is the world like politically? What is it like socially? Like, what is the climate like around me and stuff like that? And I kind of dive into what that is, even if it's on a personal level, if it's on a social level, if it's on a political level. Like, I think that's kind of what the process has always been. But in terms of influences, I would say, yeah, like acting technique, Uta Hagen, um, Stanislavski, stuff like that. Like, I just kind of go back to the roots of what, like, the art form in terms of theater and in terms of creating theater. That's kind of like where I draw back a lot of, ideas from and stuff like that. But I would say non-musical influence, that's what it would be.
Yeah, that makes a
I
lot of
mean,
sense. I think a lot of people think, when I say non-musical artists, I mean directly, like, and maybe not band, but like, theater is art, acting is art, literature is art.
yes.
You know, um,
Yeah.
it's not just like painting and like sculpting or anything like that. It's not just making music. There's like so many forms of art out there. So I love that you touched on that. We've had some artists come on the show here and talk about some of the literature that they've read and how it affects like their views and thought process. And like, we've had an artist come on here and talk about theology heavily. So, he gave some recommendations for like different books to read that, I've looked into, and, it's just, I know that that stuff can shape you just as much as like a human being as an artist, so cool to get some of those recommendations and hear where you guys are sitting with that stuff.
Nice. I mean, if there's anyone watching this and the deep literary references are lost on you, and you're a creative trying to, look into how to be more creative, I think based on what we've been talking about, there's a great I watched this interview with Triple H, professional wrestler from WWE. He basically had a mindset where it's what how everything affects what he does for his business. So basically, the way he would look at stuff, and if anyone, watching, you don't know how to be creative, or if you don't know how to apply your influences outside of music, he would always watch anything, whether because he's a pro wrestler. So he'd watch movies, he'd be listening to music, and he'd try to think, how does this apply to what I do in my business? Like, I'm watching this movie, how can I apply this to what I do? And I think if anyone who's trying to be creative out there and they don't, you don't read books, or you're not a philosophical theologist, just look at anything that you're doing and try to apply it to yourself, maybe, and possibly try to see how you can incorporate that into your music, man. I mean, I think happy hour is a great definition. They wrote a song about cigarettes, and sometimes people will be like, oh, cigarettes are nasty, but that song Cigarettes by Happy Hour is fucking sick. So what are you trying to tell me?
American spirits.
Right? It's like smoking a carpet, man. Those things last forever.
Smoke.
Are you smoking yet?
Crazy
So,
we didn't have a soundbite for that in the song. Crazy.
Yeah.
really.
Sure, we did in the early iterations of it.
Oh,
And
did
were
we?
like,
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
I think we did.
We gotta find that demo.
yeah, we can't do that to our sound right there. We can't.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I interviewed Dr. Acula, who is quite known for putting samples from shows into their music. And unfortunately, like, a lot of MySpace bands that did that, unfortunately, people come looking for their collections on that. So I think you guys made the right move, not putting a Disney-owned property now, Family Guy,
Ooh.
into your music. I'm sure you don't want the big mouse with ears coming after you.
Shout out Dr. Acula. Great band.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
love I love that band. That band is so great. I think more people should have fun with their music, and definitely Happy Hour has fun with their music. And I think that last Dr. Acula record was a little more straightforward, but it was some good stuff.
Good. Heavy. Really heavy.
Yeah, speaking of fun, for me, when it comes to music, one of the most fun things about music is like the live show, right? It's not just listening to it and getting to know the song beforehand, but like going out to see that band perform, and being in a crowd with people that, are all there for the same reason. It's a beautiful thing. I know that you guys don't get a chance to do a lot of live shows as much as you did when you were all together in the same state. Like, what's your feelings on that? How you guys, has is that okay with you guys? Is it something that you've had to fight through? And are you planning on doing any like more live shows anytime soon? Any tours?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I
Oh,
think,
you take it.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you there, but yeah, I think right now it's just happenstance. We're just like you said, we're kind of separated. I think it's helped sharpen us in other ways too. Like it's helped us kind of focus on just making the music. But we always we always love playing. We did a show, our like comeback show in Miami, I think a year or something now ago. But that was it felt the most good to just be back on stage, the four of us together, and just like have fun and doing it because we love doing it. Um, but yeah, it definitely it's tough to see people out there playing shows and stuff, and we're just kind of we have to coordinate a lot to make that happen for us. So, but the plan is definitely to do something like that in the future.
Yeah, I'd say spotlight shows. People have asked about touring, and it's just not something we're able to do realistically. And think of somebody doing a tour for a month. I mean, for them, it's a career, right? Which is, something I think we have to, be very just upfront about and say, what us doing happy hour is, it's not for money. We don't do this band to, get clicks and views and recognition. We just like doing it. Like, it's fun to have, or it's amazing that we have an audience, that there's still people listening after I don't know how long. And we're super grateful for that. I mean, we had the Miami show we played, we had Brittany, she flew in from Las Vegas to watch the show, which is like blew my mind. Like she just sent one message like 3 weeks prior, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. Like if we see you, hopefully. But I'm like, I was like, that's not gonna happen. And then she's there, and I'm like, holy shit, she's here. Like it wasn't even like a message the day of, like, hey, I landed in and I'm excited. It was just like she was just there, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like I grabbed everyone. um, so we love playing when we can. We're all just in different stages of our lives right now, like with our own careers, and it's still important to us, right? We still want to make it a priority to get together when we can, when it makes sense for us. I mean, we've done so little runs here and there, like we played California at the end of 2022, and we're hoping we can set some stuff up in some areas we haven't been in before. So the goal would be to play a couple cities we haven't been to before, in some small bursts. But yeah, we absolutely do love it. But the stars got to align a little bit, so it's tough.
I like to call it as the planets and the stars have to align for all four of us to be in the same location at the same time, on schedule. So, and that's just, like I said, it's just where we're at now. It's just hard. But when we make it work and we can make it work, we do it. And, we all understand that when there's a job to get done, we'll get it done.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, like, we love playing shows. I personally, obviously, being in theater, it's like I love to be on stage, dude, and I love sharing the stage with these guys. Obviously, like, and it's so cool because I feel like since we don't do it very often, like when we do it, it's such a stark reminder of like the genuine amount of talent like I'm surrounded by. You know what I mean? Like having Eric like pick up the guitar and seeing him fucking literally do all the crazy fucking taps and shit from the first EP, even after all these years, and like David fucking playing the drums from Guinness and shit, like the fucking weird ass transition and Night Vibe during the fucking second verse, and like, you know what I mean? It's like it's cool to be able to kind of have, we still clearly have the love for it. Obviously when we're talking logistics and where we are, personally in all of our own lives, like, it's a little harder now, but there are definitely plans for the future, and I think, we've talked about it a lot, and obviously logistically, like touring is not realistic. But yeah, like small little runs if we can. Like obviously now that we're kind of in different places, like it kind of opens the accessibility to newer venues or whatever. Now I'm in New York and like making connections up here. It's like maybe we could, do something up here. Like I like personally, like I know the people in Daisy Grenade. I like because they're theater people, and I've talked with them, and like they're super stoked about like doing something together, and like we want to, and it's all just things that like can just come up at any point in time. And I think it's what David said, it's just the stars and the planets have to align,
Yeah.
and when it comes down to it though, like if it's something that we're like, okay, yeah, this is what we're deciding on, this is what we're going to do, um then we'll do it, you know what I mean? Like we'll make it happen for each other, and I think that's like that level of commitment that we still have to this project, like regardless of where we're at.
Yeah.
I
I
get
have a
that.
question. I have a question on these stars and planets that need to align.
Yes.
When, if ever, are we gonna get a full Happy Hour album? Because I feel like you guys have such a great sound that if you were to sound design it all into one album where it's all one cohesive message, it would be fucking amazing. And I love singles and I love little EPs, but I feel like if we put an album in your guys' hands, you would give us like solid gold. And these planets and these stars would be aligning every other week, and everyone would be like, give these people a tour.
I'll take this one. So we right now probably have enough material to put an entire album out, but I know we're not going to do that. And I think part of it is, in a selfish way, we want to make sure that our music gets gets the love we want it to get. And things have just changed, right? Like I know some bands that have only done album, 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 album. And there's kind of like this trickle down effect that happens where it's like you put out a single, the first single gets, a ton of love, then they follow up with a second and a third single, and those get, like half the views and listens as the original song does. And then the whole album comes out, and I mean you could pull up Spotify like any random band, and then you can see it, like it all just trickles down where once you get to track number 12 gets like 6% of the love that the original single got. And it's like, but is track number 12 that, not as good of a song, right? So, when we did Love Hurts, we were moving to a shorter EP format. And I remember, yeah, I had proposed it. I was like, let's just do 3 songs. And I had to fight with everyone just a little bit, like, because they're like, well, that's not a full EP, or it's like, it's got to be like, it's got to be the standard 5 songs. And I was like, no, you know what? Like, I think the songs will get more love and better and better, I guess, like it'll be more digestible to the audience in a shorter format. So we've kind of stuck to that formula. Sometimes we put out singles just because, like, I don't know, it's just what we're sitting on and we're excited about it at the moment. And, like when I look at like 26 is a single, Black in Every Color is a single, Holding On is a single. I don't necessarily see them all living on the same release together. They're almost like their own thing. So I would say, we're not releasing an album because we can't or don't have enough music to do so. But I think just what's changed and the climate of how music is digested, how things go out now. We've seen even major pop artists have shifted to this format where it's like, they'll put out, yeah, like an album, but then they start promoting it each song individually. Like I think of like Hotline Bling from Drake. When that song blew up, the album had already been out for a while. And it was like really interesting because it's like all of a sudden everybody's listening to Hotline Bling, but the
Yeah, and it's
album
the
had already
last
been out.
track.
It's the last track, and it's like the album had already been out for like almost a year. Like it's like we're late to the party when it blew up, but it's like they started supporting it with video and radio play and stuff like that. And if you're a major artist, you can afford to do that, right? Like you've got the label support to do that, to make sure that, hey, nobody gets left off the boat, right? Let's make sure that every track gets the platform to get the love from everybody. So obviously, stuff like Vine has shortened attention span, TikTok has shortened
Yeah.
attention span, and not a dig at the audience. I mean, we're all moving and changing the way that we digest media. So
Yeah.
I don't know. For us, it's easier for us to manage on a smaller release level, and we have moved to production in house. But the other factor is like if we're asking this question like in 2019, it's like costs. I mean, we spent at that time Love Hurts, which at the time in hindsight, I'm like, wow, that's actually really good. We spend about maybe $600 per song. So it's like the EP in the mix mastering recording cost us just about 2 grand, right? Which today it's more like almost double that, right? It's like if we were going the same route, it's like $1,000, $1,200. And when you're asking for an album, it's like we're putting, out of our own pocket like 10K on the table, more or less.
Yeah.
So which is fine.
I mean,
It's not impossible for us
yeah.
to do, but when we think about like if I'm going to put 10K on the table, I'd want to make sure that it's like all this the release gets this love and this support. And if I know us being in separate states, what we have going on in our lives, like we're not going to be able to follow it up with a tour and really give it that love and energy it deserves, then for us
Yeah.
it just doesn't. I don't think it makes sense for us.
Yeah.
I mean, dog ear on that page. What if, because I mean, Lilac Kings, they just kind of like put a bunch of their singles and like one new track on a vinyl. And I mean, you could always do the best of Happy Hour, the 10-year anthology, or, something that we could get our hot little hands on, some kind of physical media of Happy Hour. I mean, even if it's all the hits, all the jams, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that as a fan. I'm just saying. I
It's
mean,
funny because
those,
we did do that and we never. I don't know what happened that we just didn't do that. We got like artwwork together for like the best of kind of thing. I
Yeah.
Greatest hits
vividly remember
album.
the artwork. It was like it was like some dark red thing, and I can't even
teasing me.
Yeah, we
remember.
did.
You're
It's
teasing me now.
But we never did it. I don't know why we didn't do it. Like,
Waiting
Yeah.
for the 30-year anniversary to drop that one.
yeah, like for sure, I could see next year doing some sort of a 10-year anniversary thing for What's Your Poison and like throwing some bonus tracks on there. I think for sure, like that's something we could definitely do.
Yeah, I think yeah, we've talked a little bit about this, and like I remember, yeah, we did at one point. We were gonna put Love Hurts and then all the singles, like Black and Every Color, Holding On, 26. Like we were gonna put like the six of those songs, I think, on like one thing and like release it. But yeah, I don't really remember what happened and like why we didn't. But
Weird.
but yeah, I think fucking a 10 we've been, having little bits and pieces of conversation about what we should do for like our 10-year because, it's coming up and I think it would be cool to do like I brought it up to David at one point. I was like, we should do kind of similar to what Turnover did with the anniversary of Peripheral Vision, where they basically just put out a deluxe version of their original album with all the instrumentals, and then they just re-recorded their songs, like five of their songs, and just like put them out like as alternative versions to like. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, I feel like we could do something like that, but I don't know. This is obviously all to be determined, but that the idea has come up before in terms of, putting everything together in one catalog. Um, we just never did it.
So the short answer is TBD.
TBD.
TBA, TBD.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, as a listener, you talk about that short attention span that people have, and as an old head, I love a full album. I love listening to like how artists put together like each track, and it feels like one cohesive work. But at the same time, we've moved into a different age of music, right? And now,
The
we're
playlist era.
exactly, exactly. Listening to singles or EPs, like, is almost kind of like this is the new way, and you can accomplish that with an EP. You can still, What's Your Poison felt very cohesive. Everything on there felt like it belonged together. It was neat. And speaking of which, I actually still have a physical copy of that. Uh, back when you guys first released that. So I know that you guys haven't really necessarily offered a lot of physical media, but I think,
I still,
based on the fact that you guys do have a lot of listeners that have come organically, and that you haven't really, it's all a DIY sort of situation. We would love to see some physical media to get our hands on, even if, like, I'm
Holy
not.
shit.
Look at that.
doing the
Send
the
me one
album
because
money
I
spread.
lost my copy. I need another one.
Yeah, me too. I don't know where mine went. I only have the Love
Okay.
Hurts one.
I this is like the reissued one. These are still sealed, and I still have my very first copy of the physical Digipack
Oh
one. So
shit.
this
Only
is like the very first one. So
Yeah, I
this one
got
for me is like a treasure.
that.
Everyone hit up Eric and hit up Michelle Hidalgo. Hit up one of them. He's got them. He has them in his hot little hands. We all converge and we all get our copies and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, we do have to reissue these. I don't know why we haven't. Every time I've gone onto like a website where you have to do like, I forget, it's always something like as soon as I get annoyed and it's like this is not in the right format, I just close the tab and I'm like, I'm not ordering.
next year.
I just get
Next
like
year.
annoyed and I'm just like, like it used to be so complicated. Like I remember putting these on where it's like the image itself had to fit a weird format. And if you weren't like a digital illustrator, it was like super complicated. It was like, it's not the right format. So like, and then you're going back and forth to the digital artist being like, can you send it to me in this weird shape by this weird shape?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I guess, right? So
I get it, man.
I just remember like filling out like all the stuff to just get this set up like this. I remember this was a pain in the butt. I hated doing it. So
All right,
that's probably my fault.
my address is 1780. I'm just kidding.
I feel like I have some more hiding, but yeah, I've got 5 here. So
Holy
I'll be
Grail right there.
I'll be
He's just
willing to
holding
give
them.
some out.
They were just sitting in a drawer. He's just like holding on to them Holy Grails. I see you.
As a musician today, you got to be so versed in all these different things. It's no longer just about making music, but you got to understand the production side and recording. You've got to understand content creation. You've got to understand videography and photography in certain cases. You've got to be an illustrator, a digital illustrator, and understand all these different elements. You guys have been doing it basically that way almost this whole time, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken, you guys have never had necessarily like label support, right?
Yeah, it's all been in-house DIY.
I mean, that's incredible. Like, I mean, to see a band like you guys, in this genre that isn't necessarily like a mainstream genre achieve what you guys have achieved, it's pretty epic, and I mean, obviously anybody who plays music and has dove into any aspect about this or the music industry understands how difficult that is. You guys have gotten some pretty crazy amount of exposure without, necessarily having to have some big wig come in and fund it. Like, what's worked best for you guys when it comes to exposure?
I'd say talking to people. I remember when we got started, like you mentioned those DGD Facebook groups. So I was in a couple of those, and we never like the one thing I quickly realized was doing paid promos for the music barely gave you anything. Like the ROI on it was terrible, where it's like you'd spend $20 on one post just to get like two more comments or like six more likes. And I'm like, whoa, this dude, that's crazy. And what worked really well at the beginning was just talking to people as much as possible. I would just message people, just, just jump on forums and start talking. And it wasn't necessarily like, hey, copy and paste comment, like check out my band, check out my band, check out my band, but just having normal dialogue, right? Like just talking to people, connecting, commenting on the things that they're commenting on, and just kind of just making a little community online. And that's kind of like what got things started as far as like the What's Your Poison era. I remember like when we saw 1,000 monthly listeners, we were like, whoa, holy crap. Like this is automatic. Like this immediately has done better than any other music project any of us have done in the past. Like this is the new benchmark. And, getting, as it kept going, like, oh my God, 10,000 monthly listeners. Like we're here doing backflips when the first song, I don't remember, I think it was probably Night Vibes or Cigarettes, one of the two, hit 1 million monthly,
Yeah.
1 million streams. Like for us, it was like, oh, that's it, dude. So we're the shit. And the Golden Globe
Putting our
has
gods.
goes to like I'm like, wow, like I was like, we are them. Oh my God, like that's crazy. We were just blown away by it. Like we couldn't even like just process it. It was like so new for us. And some things that I see have been helpful, and I share willingly. There's a lot of other bands locally would be like, what are you guys doing? And I would tell them. It wasn't like a secret that I was trying to keep to myself, because you still have to make your own music and people still have to like it. I would just tell them like, dude, just talk to as many people as you can. Make sure you package your product as best you can. Like invest in the sound and recording. Like make sure that you spend some money, because we know a lot of people that were like, yeah, well, my friend can do this in his closet at home. So like, we're gonna take the $20 a song route. And I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna sound like that, unfortunately. So just investing in it, and just and it sounds silly, but being try to be a nice person helps, you know? Like there's a lot of I noticed a lot of when we started, there's a lot of ego like in the music community, where another band thinks that they're like too cool to talk to you even at a show that you're on the same bill as. And I'm like, this is so weird and goofy. Like it's embarrassing. So, I think trying to be humble, just trying to like talk to people, and just, be casual, really like would go further than most people would expect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I think too, like, because we're in music and we're in an age or in an era of music where it's not something that's necessarily tangible unless you're going out of your way to buy a shirt or a CD or whatever. What people are really drawn to, what brings them value, at least for us, is being able to establish a connection and a rapport, and being able to be the guys that, like, yeah, you love our music and maybe we're not as like easily attainable, but if we were, you could hang out with us at the bar and have a drink. You could talk to us at the merch table. You could,
For sure.
if you're shy to come up to us, like, don't be, because like we don't buy it, and like we don't ever want to give off the vibe that we are unapproachable. We make music for us, but that doesn't mean that it's not also relatable to you.
Be
Yeah.
cool as fuck, and someone will jump on a plane and come all the way to see you,
I
and
mean,
then they will grab the people from backstage and be like, "Look, she flew all the way out here."
It's true.
it's I
But
mean, we
Oh
it's
man, it's
true.
cool. It's awesome. It blows our minds every time we see that. It's really gratifying.
And
That,
like
that's
I
that's really cool. Because I see that you guys have built this like platform where people are willing to come out on a plane to see y'all, and you don't. I think there's something special about not necessarily touring on a album or release, because then when you do those shows, like people show up and they fly from all over the place. Nate, I'm sorry, I cut you off there, buddy.
no, it's fine. I was just basically piggybacking off of what they were saying. It's just, yeah, like what, like in terms of engagement with people, and like what was so important that I never really truly realized until I saw Eric doing it, like was, yeah, literally like talking to people. Like Eric would literally, like when we were on Facebook and we were part of that DGD group, like as much as, like we've kind of come away from that. Like I will say, like, when first started, like that was a huge booster for us. And I felt like when Eric was like talking to these people and messaging these people, and like, people would message us, and in the beginning, like people would be messaging me, and like I was kind of just like, oh, I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? And then I would see Eric literally just being like, what's up? How's your fucking day, dude? Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, and I'm just like, oh, so I could just talk to these people like this. And like, it was cool to kind of see what that actually genuinely did for us as a band, and as not just a band, but as people, as creatives, as like, because I've always felt like as artists, like we should be as approachable as possible. We have always, 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 every time we played shows, every time we were anywhere, we were like, bro, come to our merch table. Like, let's grab a fucking drink. You want to go to the bar? Let's take a fucking shot. You know what I mean? Like we were always about being friends with the people that listen to our music, because it's just like they're doing us like the honor of you know like having something that we can connect to, that we created for them, and like they're listening to our shit, like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's always been a huge thing, for me personally, to be as relatable and be as open and be as like, yeah, like let's talk, let's hang out, let's just like be friends, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like, and I think, yeah, the biggest thing to that, to attest to what Eric is saying, was, yeah, just talking to people, man. Like it was, and this was obviously when we started in 2017, 2016, 2017. It was kind of like when Facebook groups were still a big thing, and like when, like people chatting on Facebook was still like kind of the thing to do. And like, you know, I didn't really get it until Eric was doing it, and I was like, oh, okay. So then once we both started to engage in like that whole, you know, like era of that Facebook messaging and all that shit, it was like it really took off, and we made a lot of friends. And like when we did our first tour, when we played, what was it, South Carolina?
South Carolina. Yeah.
We had people drive down from Michigan, like they all carpooled in one big fucking van and literally drove to come see us down there. Like we had people driving from Virginia, like we had people, like it was crazy, man. Like it was just, it really goes to show that like people truly appreciate connection, and
Mhm.
appreciate like genuine conversation,
Well, it
which I think is so important.
speaks
Yeah.
volumes about you guys personally, man. Like, that you're willing to get out there and put yourselves out and connect with people and, be just good people, generally good people. I remember, speaking about all this, my wife and I went on our honeymoon down to Florida, and Nate and Eric came out and had lunch with us. It was nice.
It was Versailles, right? It was at
Those
Versailles.
guys were Florida.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I reached out to Eric a couple of times and was like, "Hey, man, I know this might be kind of weird, but like, wife and I we're coming down to Florida for the honeymoon. We're taking a cruise out of there, but we'd love to meet you guys." And they showed up. They showed up with merch and with t-shirts and stuff, and it was just really cool. So like, it makes a whole lot of sense, that connection. I don't know that it's necessarily just that has like made me a longtime fan, but at the same time, it definitely didn't hurt.
I think one thing I want to comment on is the power of social media and communication is still very strong these days. I mean, I still use Facebook. I run post-hardcore posting. It's got over 100,000 members now, and literally any platform I have right now, this podcast or anything, has come from communication. And to anyone watching or is in a fledgling band, or if they want to make that step towards creativity, communication and not being too cool for school is definitely your best route, because talking to people and just not trying, like, don't be a musician or a creative or a content creator or a podcast host. Don't talk to people because you think they're going to do something for you. As the guys in Happy Hour said, literally just connect with them like you're just trying to make a friend. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to just talk to people to try to like line your own pockets or line your followers or whatever, it's not going to have it's going to have diminishing returns, because they're going to see right through you eventually. And if you're not trying to just like connect with people and just try to enjoy this experience, this ride called life, it's like you're not going to get anything out of it if you don't mean it.
100%.
Very true.
Yep. Yep. I think we've all, or most of us, have gone to one show somebody we vaguely know invited us to, and then they didn't talk to us at that show. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I thought you invited me. I'm here to support you, and you don't even like come up to me and say hi. Like,
Yeah.
how awkward is that? Like, like it's
It's so
crazy.
weird.
Yeah,
And no fault, no shade to any music. Like, look, there's different personalities out there. I get it. Not everybody's going to be super like open and friendly. Like, I get it. There are musicians that are very just introverted people to themselves. But if anything, you got to have at least like one member in your band, because like at the end of the day, this industry, even for us, it's fun. It's an entertainment industry, right? Like you don't need to listen to somebody's album to pay your bills, to go to work, to raise your child, right? Like this is entertainment, right? When people go and they want to see you, it's because they want to be entertained. They're interested in what you make, right? So I mean that's a part of it.
it's a the entertainment industry is a form of communication, I feel. And at the end of the day, if you need to have some level of manners, and if you don't want to have a conversation with somebody, at the very least say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like this is
Thank you for
also,
coming.
yeah, this is also
Goes
to
a
be
long way.
said that it not necessarily does it mean that we, even though we talk so much about how we love connecting and we love being friends and we will have those days, you know what I mean, where we don't want to talk to people, you know what I mean? Like, and what's important for what Eric said is that, like, at least have somebody, right? Like, even if like you're having like if Eric's having an off day, then it's on me. If I'm having an off day, then it's on him. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, because it is a business, right? At the end of the day. And like, as much as we love genuinely connecting with people, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of can get hard sometimes when you're not in the right headspace and you're not in the right position to be like, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like, where you're kind of dragging it out of yourself. But, at the end of the day, like what Ryan said, it's like, at least, as long as we're like friendly, say hi. Like, if people came out, like, it's obviously like, hey, what's up? How you doing? But like, if you don't feel like going that extra mile, it's always important that it's like communicated, because like I felt like that was something we really did as a band, especially when we were on tour. I remember, like, Eric was saying like he like there was certain show days where he was just not feeling it, and he was like, yo guys, I'm not really doing it. And David and I were just like, yo, it's cool, like chill, like relax, like go sit by the merch table, like we'll do all the talking, we'll do all the, like, you know what I mean? It's always a collaborative effort. So like, not to like discourage people when if you're not like a social person, or if you're not like super like about that whole thing, like it's okay, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of just all about making sure that the people that support you know that you appreciate them supporting you, like in one way or another, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just putting that out there.
Yeah, no, you guys are like a family like that. I can appreciate the give and take in relationships like that. It's pretty cool. In the sense of in the spirit of connection, I don't want to pry too much, but would you guys mind sharing like a little bit about like your personal lives, like where you're at? Like, do you have any big dreams, any short-term goals, any family plans, anything like that coming up?
Eric.
I knew it. Yeah, I mean, like personal life, I'll share. This last year I got married, which was awesome. Feel very blessed to be with my wife and have her support and have her in my life. It was really great to just have the entire, happy hour is a family for me. They were all present at my wedding, which was a very small 26 head count ceremony in San Francisco. From there, other stuff, other life updates. Well, originally I moved to California a few years ago was for a job opportunity, and I've since moved from the Bay Area down to Los Angeles just a good 4 or 5 months ago for another work opportunity. So I work in the stone industry, sales in the stone industry, and yeah, just balancing music in between it all. It's kind of what's going on in my life.
David.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess I think personally for me in my personal life, I just I've always surrounded myself with just doing music, but outside of that, I just moved up to Orlando from South Florida, so it's been cool because it's a different scene up here entirely, and it's been cool to see the shift from South Florida to Orlando in terms of like the way people are, the way that they interact at shows or whatever. So that's been a new thing for me as far as like moving. I think we've all been kind of shifting around the last year. But yeah, I think just my personal goal for this year is just to continue to build my relationships with like my friends, which are just the guys in the band, and my family, and just keep working on that. Because when there's an actual physical distance between people like that in your life, it's important to still nurture your relationship and still talk and communicate and stuff like that. So that's something that I've made a personal goal to build on this year for myself.
Well said. Well said.
Nathaniel.
Nathan.
Um, uh, so yeah, personally, so for me, I just recently moved up here to New York from Miami in November of last year. And yeah, it's been a long time coming because obviously, like I said before, I do theater. It's like my bread and butter basically. And I just felt like I needed, like, finally, because it like I said, it's been a long time coming. I was supposed to move here in 2020. Obviously that didn't happen. And the past 5 years, 6 years has just been like, this whirlwind of trying to figure shit out. And yeah, man, like, I'm just being honest. It's like it's been really rough, like trying to make the move, and seeing what the timing is and whether it's right or wrong, and balancing work and life and music and all this stuff. But like, I'm finally happy to be up here. I finally am starting to feel settled in, because the first couple of weeks and the past like month and a half has been a whirlwind of crazy shit. um Trying to settle in and find work and audition, and I've been nonstop with all that stuff. So but yeah, man, that's the goal, is just to come up here and try to book shows, try to book tours, try to book Broadway. I mean, that's like the ultimate end goal for me. And like, that's really not, the end of the road. Like, once I do it, I want to stay consistent with it. But yeah, man, it's just living out the dream. And that's kind of just where I'm at personally. And I also feel like David was saying, I feel like, yeah, it's super important. And I'll be very open and vulnerable and honest about it. Like, I feel like since I've moved to New York, it's been such a whirlwind that I haven't like been on top of things with friends and family. Like, I've just been like, a horse with blinders on, trying to like, get my life situated. And to anyone who's listening out there that's struggling about fucking doing, like, making shit work and whatever, like, we're gonna do it. It's gonna work out. And I think what's very important is what David was saying, is to nurture those relationships. And that is something that I definitely am going to like make it a priority for myself, because I've come to realize, especially because it's been such a whirlwind of shit, since I've come up here, that is so important. Um, and yeah, that's just the priority from now on. It's just taking care of myself, taking care of my relationships with my friends and my family and the people that are close to me, and fucking just shooting for the stars, dude. That's just where I'm at in life at this point.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that with us, man. We appreciate a look inside of your personal lives, because like I know for me, as a friend, as a fan, those connections, that's what we're all looking for, right? Getting to know somebody on a deeper level rather than just like, the day-to-day, like, oh, what's up, dude? Or like, oh, this is the music that you make, or like, you know, that creates a bond, you feel like locked in with somebody. And, you know, um, for me, that's important, it's pretty much what makes life go for me. I thrive on relationships personally, and not everybody does, so to each their own. But thank you guys for spending that time with us. And this time with us and sharing that stuff. I do want to ask, what's next for Happy Hour as a band? You guys have any like big merch drops or new singles coming out, new releases, any collaborations coming up? Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, so
David.
we're working on thanks. we're, we're working on dropping some new music very soon, man. If I may say so, I think it's probably our best music yet. And I think it's our strongest music yet. It's been 2 years in the making, and I know it's only four fucking songs, but they are four of our best songs, I think, to date. It's been a whirlwind, like Nate said, but we're making it happen, man, and we plan to hit the ground running this year and really, really come to form. Because I feel like we kind of lost our way a little bit, and like we've been kind of sporadic, and we're grateful to the fans that have stuck with that and been patient with us. And every time that we're on the page or we're posting, even if it's like sparse, y'all show up and like we see it and like we acknowledge. We're not always on time and we're always a little messy, but I feel like y'all understand us at this point.
I like the guy who was like, this band shows up every year, drops one single, and vanishes.
He called us out. Yo, he called us out hard. I
I
was like,
know. I was just like,
no,
he's so right.
okay.
He's so
He's
right
right. I
though.
can't even say no. I can't even
Yeah.
get mad at him. I like
He was he literally was just like, dude, you guys show up, drop the fucking coolest shit ever, and then where the fuck do you go?
the hard question to answer because we don't even know where we go, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to be more intentional this year, and we're strong in our connection with each other this year. I feel like we've been working at just being really, really tight and being a unit and understanding the objective, so
Oh, and also to put this out there, I know it's only the three of us here, but just to speak on Kevin's behalf, I'm sure that he would also agree with everything that we're saying. That Kevin is on a tour right now, which is pretty cool. He's on the national tour of Chicago, the musical with his girlfriend, so he's doing great. Just to throw it out there to people, but I think it's also important that we mention that Kevin is also involved and very much on the same page with us as well. Even though
he's
he
a
can't be here
trooper, man.
today.
He's
Yeah,
the
I've been
real trooper in this band is Kevin, because he has to put up with the three of us.
Yeah, he's stuck up. He's been through everything with everything that we've gone through, and he's kind of just been,
He's
you know,
employee of the month every month. I'll tell you
yeah.
that.
He's honestly been a huge part of the glue that kind of holds everything together for us too, because he's always just that guy that shows us all the love and is accepting of all of our personalities.
Several different personalities within each of us. Yes.
Yeah.
I should have worn my Kevin shirt so he could be with us right now.
All right.
Oh,
So
I will throw out super quick. Like I hope this isn't top secret, David, but we do have, like you said, a new EP that has come to. I think we're pretty much done. It's like on the final stages of production. So there's that's it. All vocals are recorded, all instruments are tracked, everything is done. 4 songs, and we are meeting very soon to actually do a music video, which we haven't done a music video since Night Vibes, like 2018, which is like crazy to think.
No, cigarettes.
Oh, right. Sorry, cigarettes. So this would be our fourth music video, even though we've taken down White Girl Drinks because all of our hairs look silly and goofy and funny.
It's still
I
out there in
don't.
the
bring it
somewhere.
back.
It's out there somewhere. I don't even know where it is. I just remember this was like a friend of ours that we filmed the whole thing in their living room, which kind of looked cool. Just kind of cool. So okay, so since 2019, so it's been a good. We're overdue, so people can remember what we look like. So that'll be cool. We're excited about that.
Yeah, we're gonna be updating all of our social media pictures with the stills from that video.
Pretty much.
But yeah, we're working, man. We're doing it. We're doing the damn thing this year.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, as far as collaborations go, I'm attempting to get Eric and Nate on a Life Among Lions track coming up here soon. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, man. Let's make it happen.
It's happening. It's
All
happening.
right. So, again, I want to thank you guys so much for your time with us, man. Got a basically just kind of like a couple of closing questions we can do like sort of a short answer for. Like, number one, what's the best way for listeners to support you? Is it streams? Is it buying physical media, merch? Like, is it sharing? Like, what's up?
I would say just listening right now. Like we'll do some merch time to time, but I mean the money for us right now, it's not. It's nice, like I think we took band money once and went to like a Brazilian steakhouse. We went to Texas to Brazil. that was that was one funny spend of like we had some money and we were like, yeah, what are we gonna do? But
Dinner.
I'd say right now, like, it all recycles back into just creating the product more than anything. And I would say just listening more than anything. Just listen to the music. We appreciate it.
Keep
Yeah,
the there.
I think sorry David. But yeah, just basically listening to our music. Like we're still around, like we're still on social media, we're still like tag us, talk to us, message us, like, like we love to talk, we love to chat, like we're still very much, involved, and we're gonna be more involved now, for sure, like because going into this year, like David said, we're hitting the ground running. So yeah, like we would love, tag us, share us, talk to people about us, you know what I mean? Like word of mouth goes a long, long way.
Excellent, excellent. So, are there any specific messages you'd like to leave your fans who are watching today or future fans?
I would just say,
Smoke. No,
don't, yeah,
no, no,
smoke.
no, I'm kidding.
Uh,
No, do
I think like we're in a complicated time right now, and I don't want to get on any sort of soapbox, but I would say hold on, have some, like really just like grab the rails and just brace yourselves. Like we're in some really, really chaotic times right now. Like here for all of our US based fans, like things are pretty crazy right now. And really like you have to just try and preserve your mental health as best as you can, but also be informed and participate when it calls for it, right? Just hang tight. These are tough times, and all of us are feeling it too. So just know that, you know, there's there's a big community and support. We're all feeling it, and hang tight.
Yeah, man. I think for me, it's just really the message that I would say, just thanks, man. Like thank you to all the fans that still listen. Thank you to the people that like you guys for coming on and talking to us and, asking us all these great questions and, just sharing a general interest in what we do and who we are. And I think we don't do this for anybody, I think, than ourselves because this is our therapy and just the way that we've been able to kind of relate to everybody around us and the people who listen to us um, in their own interpretation of it, right? I think it's been a very, very special thing that we have here.
Absolutely. And yeah, honestly, I think just, love each other, stay safe. Like I feel like it's just a matter of caring for one another, and I think that's just the most important thing, to kind of go off of what Eric was saying, and what David's saying, like we appreciate everybody, all the love to everyone, like no matter what. Like it's been close to 10 years of doing this, and it's as much as we haven't been super active in the past few years. It's just, none of it goes unnoticed. We love each and every one of you. We love all our fans. Josh, Ryan, thank you guys so much for having us, and being, still interested in what we're doing. And, we are one big little family. And, it's still cool to have these connections. And I think it's just important that we keep that going. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, man. Since we're wrapping up, usually towards the end of my interviews, I like to ask my guests shout out bands that they're listening to or homies in the local scene and stuff. I'll go first. I'm sure Josh has some suggestions, some great music. He's shown me great stuff over the year, like Jimmy and the Veil, and I mean even his own project's really good as well. I mean, But I run a playlist called Ryan Rexrick's Current Wave. It's made up of bands I've listened to over the years. I'm pretty sure I got some Happy Hour on there. I found you guys in Swan Posting. I'm not gonna front. I ain't gonna lie to kick it, but I definitely found y'all in there, and I would definitely just recommend anybody who's listening to this podcast. If you've never listened to Happy Hour and you made it this far into the podcast, you can turn the podcast off now. Go listen to Happy Hour. I would recommend that. That would be my tip top recommendation. But if you want to check out some other artists, these people are all very paramount to me. They support the cause. I promote bands on the regular, so definitely shout out a Static Lullaby. I'm sure some people know about them, but I've been working with them last few months. They're great. New Juliet, they have a new song out called Montague, and that's like a Romeo and Juliet thing. But definitely check out them. Arsenic Kitchen is always awesome. They're out here in California at the NAMM, and then they're going to the Grammys, I believe. So definitely check out them. The Arsenic Kitchen's really great stuff, man. There's tons of bands doing great stuff right now, like Discord Theory. They're from Florida as well. They have a new song out called Fashionably Late. Ghost Tale just released a new song called Shallow End. Lives Lost released Haunted. The Years After released Quiet Room. I Could Be Here All Day. Fair Play has a great new EP out. They got new music just coming right now. Fair Play's from New York, so I mean you could probably check them out, Nate, man. You're out in New York yourself. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, hell yeah. But check out awesome bands like Hard Softy. It's spelled soft with two E's at the end, Hard Softy. You can't beat that. They have a new song out called Hanging Curtains in My Cage. Definitely worth checking out. Check out Shadow. They have a new song out called My Doubts. Lake Mar has a new song out called Reanimatrix. Definitely check out those artists. I know I kind of rapid fired those you guys, but I'm just trying to make use of the time. I don't want to take up any more of your time. But if you guys have any artists, I know you shouted out Daisy Grenade. I saw them open up for Armor for Sleep. Very good band. But if you guys have bands you want to shout out, or homies you want to shout out, or musical recommendations for our friends and followers here at Warp Taste Podcast, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, there's a few coming to mind. South Florida, this band Intra Bloom, they're awesome. The guys in that band, we did some vocal tracking together, but really amazing dudes, great to work with. The music is insanely unique. I really enjoyed it. Another one from South Florida, Escoria, my boy Gabe. He's out there grinding. They're like a deathcore slam kind of deal, very aggressive, which I love. Another one that comes to mind from up here is No One Road. They're really killing it out here, and well, they're in Tampa, but they come out and play shows here in Orlando sometimes. And Pretty Pity's another one that's really, really promising out there too. So shout out to those guys. And actually, there's one band from Chicago that I just discovered very recently called Snooze, and they just put out an album called I Know How You Will Die. I love that album. It's really insanely good, very unique music. I feel like if there was ever an opportunity for us to do a tour together, I think we'd have a very interesting bill to showcase to some fans out there.
Nathaniel.
I would say, yeah, I did say Daisy Grenade. They're super dope, super cool people. I think they're going on their first headlining tour, I think, soon. I've actually listened to this band called The Missing Piece. And strangely enough, it just came up as an ad on I think like Instagram or something, and I was like, sounds super dope. They have a 5-song EP that I've been listening to. It's great. They're actually coming here to New York on Wednesday. I think that was the ad that I saw, and I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to go see them play live. But yeah, The Missing Piece, super dope. Kind of atmospherical, heavy stuff. So like, yeah, shout out to them. I would say also maybe from like hometown, like Miami scene, like I would say, well, actually, I think they just announced that they're like going on a hiatus. But a band named Shiva, I've been listening to their stuff. They actually played the show that our hometown show in Miami, the last show that we played, like they're great. Check those guys out too. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to.
I was making a list here, trying to keep myself organized. Um, as far as shout outs to the homies, as always, nothing but love for our friends in Hometown Losers. We've shared stage with them so many times, and just you know known them on a personal level, and they're just amazing people and amazing writers. Shout out to our brothers and Cat Company, who I feel like we were also just coming along at the same exact time. So Lawrence and Ryan, those are the two dudes I usually talk to from Cat Company. Cool people, extremely talented. Could not play a lick of anything they've written. If Lawrence wrote it, I can't play it. That's a fact. Shout out to obviously Andres, our homie. It's nice a little bit closer here, so I get to see that dude and Justin and Anthony time to time, which is nice. And also shout out to Marionette, which Justin is now full time in. Outside of local, some stuff that I've been listening to that I'd love to shout out is Yellow Eyes. It's a black metal band from New York. Sorcerer is a hardcore band from Paris. Really awesome. I mean, I've been binging the last album that they put out. Really good. The new Despised Icon album was just like wow. Like I was like, holy shit, metal is back. Like this is gritty, and the production kicks ass, and it doesn't feel overproduced, and just fucking rocks. Like holy shit. Like what a return. And then the last shout out will be to a band called Speed. So Speed, awesome hardcore band. I think Turnstile took them out recently, and I think they just got an award. But just so different and just awesome, like bringing some really kick-ass, fresh new music to the scene. It's cool to see that some more organic stuff is starting to come out. I think everybody's gotten a little bit winded with the overproduction stuff, and yeah, so it's nice to feel like some more like gritty stuff is coming through right now. So yeah, those are my shout outs.
Nice.
Heck yeah, man. You mentioned a Marionette. Shout out to them. They've been on the show before. I got to do photography for them when they were on tour with a lot like birds. Love that Quinn's back in the band. Awesome stuff. You mentioned Cat Company. I was working with Jay on his new band Lore. They're also awesome. Great shout outs, guys. Wonderful, amazing bands. And now, Josh, you have some bands you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to Happy Hour, then there's a good chance that you've heard a lot of these bands that I'm about to mention right now. But if you haven't, you should definitely check them out. They fall somewhere within the genre between a band like The Fall of Troy and Thrice. So, the Angel-Like Expression, which is Ryan's band, got to give them a shout out. Lilac Kings, which was already mentioned, they are absolutely fabulous. Check them out. Dylan, Caleb, those dudes are awesome. With Sales Ahead, fucking rocks. Okay, check them out. Don't miss them. They do a lot of collaborations with another band that I'm about to mention, Pulses. Definitely check them out. Pulses has been on the show before. I didn't get a chance to be there for that interview, unfortunately, but they're awesome. Um, Fellowship, check out Fellowship. They are from Virginia, so some local guys, not far from me. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, say something so the camera can lock in on that.
Uh, oh, yeah. I got the Pulses album. This was from a long time ago, and they wrote me this nice little handwritten note that
If there's
says,
there's if there's two bands that know the game, it's Happy Hour and Pulses. These are the people that made themselves and know that the value of connecting with your audience. We had Kevin on the show, and Kevin's great. Hello, Kevin.
I know where you live, sleep with one eye open. I will stab you to death, and I will bury you in my backyard, which was really beautiful. Like it really encouraged me to just keep going. No, I'm kidding. It says thanks for the support, my guy. Keep kicking out the jams with Happy Hour, and we'll definitely link up either in Virginia or Florida, maybe somewhere in between. Support indie music. Love, Kev Pulses. So it was pretty nice that they gave that little handwritten note there.
Those guys are sweethearts, man. They've all been very nice to me. I've seen them a few times. They're kind of local to me too, as well. So, but I also don't want to forget to mention Closure is a Waiting Room. Um, awesome, awesome people. Definitely check them out. You won't be disappointed. Um,
Shout out Talon.
with that being said, Personally, I just got one question for you guys, okay? And I want to get each of your opinions on this. If happy hour was a cocktail, what would it be?
I'm
I'll
gonna
let Nate go first.
Ah, shit. That's a hard one, dude. Uh, does anyone have an answer yet? I need to think for a second.
I'm gonna say espresso martini.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I guess yeah. What Eric said. I don't drink enough to know fucking cocktails, so I'm gonna defer to these two fucking guys.
I'm not
I
a big
think
liquor drinker, but I do love a good espresso martini. And I think
I
like coffee and liquor is like a good way to describe our sound. We're like energy, but you know, gets you a little loose.
I mean,
uh,
I had a similar answer. I was gonna say you guys are kind of like a brass monkey, you know, orange juice and malt liquor. It's just the best of both worlds.
Shit.
I honestly, dude, the first thing that came to mind was a Long Island iced tea. The
Before
That
you
first thing that came to mind
black out.
that
was
works because the
that.
Long Island iced tea is a versatile drink. There's very different variations of it. There's the Tokyo tea, the Adios, and motherfucker. I think that works because it's like it can be many different things when you put different ingredients involved, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I only say that because it's just like a bunch of different ingredients in one thing, and it knocks you the fuck out. So like,
Oh my god,
Actually,
dude.
I
that
feel like
It's
tracks.
like
Happy hour
that
though.
tracks.
That
I
is
feel like that
happy hour.
tracks, right?
That tracks.
that's like calling us the Applebee's of like fast food or of like food chains. Like
I
All
know
right, all right.
we're at best a cheesecake. Come on, dude.
I will say this. Okay, if there was a secondary, if there was a after a night of Long Island iced teas, if we had to have a hangover cure the next day, I would say happy hour is a corpse reviver number 2. And if you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a great cocktail. But it's called a corpse reviver for a reason.
I think that sounds like a healthy beverage, you know?
Well, thank you guys so much for giving us your time. I know this has been quite a lengthy interview. Typically, they are here at the Warp Taste podcast. We like to take deep dives and we like to just sit around and have conversation with the artists that we love. So again, from me to you guys, thank you so much. Your time is very valuable, and we appreciate you very much. I'm gonna let Ryan take us out from here.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your time. I think you're going to be in good company. We have Jesse Corman of the number 12 Looks Like You and Skylar Kroom of He Is Legend. Those are going to be some interviews that we're going to be doing here in the future. So I think this is a great way to segue into this new season of Warp Taste podcast, even though it's like been like a couple weeks since we did the last one anyway. But thank you again. Where can people find you on social media? Like, how do they like? Is there like Happy Hour Florida? Like, is there a specific at
um,
that people have to find you at that we can make sure that they find you and can follow you?
Should be Happy Hour Band on
yeah,
Instagram.
happy hour band on Instagram. And I think
All of our
there in the
socials are
bio.
bio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all linked in the bio there too.
Very good, very good. Now, everybody who's watched this episode, go on TikTok, slow and reverb all their songs, share them like wildfire.
Oh my God, that would
Let's
be
get
awesome.
happy hour. Let's get happy hour out there. 2026, they're coming back. They're bringing new music, new vibes. And if you want to be on that MySpace top 8, you better start sharing that stuff, man.
Thank you
I,
guys.
I,
Thank you guys so much.
Sure. Thank
I
you.
think I
Thank
think
you, thank you,
MySpace
thank you.
I think MySpace still works, so you guys should go make one and make that top 8 and like literally like threaten people. Like if they want, they want more happy hour music, they got to work for that top 8.
It's not a bad idea.
Comment for comment.
Thank you guys
Right?
so much, man. Appreciate your time.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching Warp Taste Podcast. This has been a great episode. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.